I think primarily um, I got back into Overwatch more recently and wanted to really apply myself, see if I can pick up old passion again more healthily. I played a bit when I was younger in college, and I definitely had self-hate dealing with self-hate and stuff. I didn't really approach it very productively or healthily.
Yeah,
So it was
yeah.
something I wanted to come back to because I did enjoy the game and the characters. Um, and also, I coach rock climbing as well. So coaching for me was always something like, oh, that is something you should, if you have questions that it might take too long to find your own answer, it might be helpful to have a second perspective, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm glad that you hear that you say that you've trying to approach it more healthily. I think the difficult aspect is that you talk about a game that is, so incredibly punishing.
Hmm.
It's like there's so much to learn from Overwatch, but also if you approach it the wrong way, it can be an actively negative thing for you and your mental and physical health too. So I'm glad to hear that you're taking a break and taking it more seriously now. What was your path like back in the day? What heroes did you play? What ranks did you hit? How did you play it? Why was it done so toxically? What about it was toxic? And what are you trying to do differently now? So just kind of like clipped up me your story, I guess.
Yeah, so I got Overwatch 1 on console
Okay.
almost when it came out, like 2016, 2017, probably a couple months before like the first patches.
Mm-hmm.
And I was very driven by the story and the animated videos. So I really liked Genji. He just looked really cool in the video, and also I just thought the lore behind the game was really cool, and I liked like Genji's relationship with Mercy. So I only played Genji and Mercy, which is a weird
Yep.
combination, for my whole career in Overwatch 1, basically. And it wasn't healthy because a lot of it was very much a lot of self-hate that I was dealing with just from my upbringing, where it was like, oh, that was a bad mistake, you could do better. Oh, that was a bad blade, you should have done this. Like a lot
Mm.
of negative talk with not a lot of like, okay, well, what am I doing that's working well?
Yeah.
So I did end up getting to plat. I don't remember too well how the SR or the numbers worked back
Yeah.
then.
Yeah. 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 Okay.
But it was open queue because I do remember like flexing from like Genji or Mercy or Genji or support in general. Um, and then I kind of just took a break because I graduated college. There wasn't a lot of time to boot up the console as well as like I didn't want to pay for it, like online multiplayer. And I was like moving around. And then this past year, like actually almost to the year, April 2024, I built my own PC, re-downloaded Overwatch, and then Venture dropped, and so I've just been one-tricking Venture since the game dropped, since I got the game again last year.
Okay. Venture's great. I'm one of my favorite DPS characters. Actually, might be one of my better heroes right now. Actually, for whatever reason. So really like Venture a lot. Looking for insight and things to work on, goal setting and drills. That was initially when you filled out the form. Would you say it's about the same now?
Yeah, I think something that I even struggle with other goals, like my rock climbing goals and fitness goals, is sometimes I drill into one specific thing I need to work on. So in
Yes.
Venture's case, I know one of the things I'm least strong on is my positioning, tends to be my positioning or my timing with my team.
Okay.
And so it's very easy for me to be like, okay, that's something I need to constantly work on because that is my weakness, but then it makes it hard for me to figure out um, what like I know it's mentioned in a lot of coaching like fitness or Overwatch where it's like it's good to rotate different goals or different drills
Yes.
throughout the
Yes.
week or month.
Yes.
And I'm having trouble identifying what I should be rotating besides just working on my positioning
Understandable.
when
Understandable.
when it feels like the main thing that constantly gets me caught out of my team or
Sure.
like picked off first, you know.
Sure. A couple of, well, do you know why that's the case? Why it's good to rotate things?
I think so it doesn't feel stale. I think it's
Yeah.
also good it is important to, as you climb, to keep up with even your strengths to make your strengths even stronger.
Okay.
Um,
Okay. Okay. Makes
but
sense. Makes sense. Here's a
But yeah,
question for you. Maybe this will help open things up for you, because obviously we're going to give you some more things to work on, hopefully. However, when you talk about you feel like your positioning is the main thing that you need to work on, I think positioning is probably the thing most people need to work on. But I remember when I was in Overwatch 1 focusing on positioning, a lot of my understanding of positioning, even as a coach, was more focused on playing the range that you're supposed to and playing cover. I didn't really have an understanding as well of angles and dynamic angles and so on. And so when we talk about positioning, obviously it's a, when done properly, it's a actually pretty complicated and nuanced topic, and there could be multiple things you're working on even just within positioning. So that's my question for you is, do you know when you say positioning what you're referring to exactly? What comes to mind?
I think from what you just said, I think maybe the angles, maybe. I think what I can think of a lot of the times when I get caught out is either I'm not in sync with my team in terms of
Yeah.
when I start the engagement,
Yeah.
or I think especially since one tricking venture, I've had to learn to take very aggressive angles on longer sightline maps of
Okay.
like maybe I
More
dive,
flank heavy.
maybe like I think one in one of your reviews that I watched that was really helpful. There's a difference between um like an off angle and a flank. And I
Sure.
think that is still something that's hard for me to grasp sometimes. Of like sometimes if I'm struggling on a harder map, I immediately go to a deeper flank versus finding a short angle that might be like an off angle that is created by my team in some way.
Sure, I understand. I understand. So tendency to flank maybe unnecessarily instead of take the angles that are available. Anything else come to mind with positioning?
Um, not I think those are the main things.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. Now, you also talked about timing a great deal as well. How do you know that that's an issue? And in regards to what? Like just awareness of where your team is, or seeing opportunities and going for it without being aware of what's around you?
Um, I will say I have watched a lot of your Spilo coaching content.
Mm-hmm.
I do want to give you credit that I think that is one of the things that has been very educational to get me to
I'm
climb.
glad. I'm
I
glad.
think when I filled out the form, I said I was Diamond 1. I am currently Masters 3 now, and I
Excellent.
started in Gold 5, I think.
That's incredible.
When
Well
I
done.
Thank you so much. And I want to credit some of that to you as well because a lot of the content has been very educational. And so one of the things I noticed a lot with some of the venture VODs, but one Reaper VOD that you posted that really helped is like I do notice I think you titled it something like "Go Second," and
Mm-hmm.
I do notice sometimes I don't wait to hear the engagement from my tank or the rest
Yes.
of my team,
Yes.
and I
Yes.
just
Yes.
go and that is something I think I still need to work on where I'm not waiting for that Winston to jump in.
Sure.
I'm just like my Winston to jump in. I am just going because I think the vibes are there for me to engage versus
Yeah. Yeah.
actually
Yeah.
having something to market.
Good. Good. Why is it important for you to go second usually?
Usually because they have better survivability and they
Yeah.
should be if someone else can take the attention, that's better than me because I don't have that much
Yeah.
survivability.
Yeah. Are there circumstances in which you'd go first?
Um, I I would assume if like the tank is like doing something else or like um I'm trying to take focus to distract like the support while my team pushes in.
Sure.
Or like one thing that I've done before is like if I notice we're at a choke and like a great example is like Eichenwald, if we're at the bridge,
Mm.
the first choke,
Mm-hmm.
if my tank goes to deal with like the other tank jump diving in or anything, I try to stay so that the rest of the team can't follow up.
Sure.
But
Sure.
make try but sometimes I die and that's the thing I think I need to work on where it's like if I do that I still need to survive to continue the fight.
Right. And this is kind of it's funny. Your post mentions you found me because of the Kevster principle, and that's exactly what we're talking about right now. It's those situations when it is a 2v1 or a 3v1, and you need to be more aware of that and shift your priorities accordingly. Something to consider as well, if I can use the same map, is if you were attacking that choke. Another situation where you might want to go first is if your tank is stuck in the choke, right? So you can hard flank, apply point pressure. You become the tank because you have that mobility, and you're just very responsive to any attention they give you because you are more fragile. So I think that like going second is a good general rule, but you're Masters 3 now. You understand the game well enough to know the exceptions to that rule. And maybe this is a challenge for you, is to look at situations in which you should actually go first. And then instead ask yourself, okay, so I'm going first here. How should I behave when I go first versus when I go second, right? Whereas going first is more intentional on forcing space, dominating multiple people's attention. Whereas going second is more about getting picks, getting trades, letting somebody else take the heat for you.
Sorry, I'm writing that down. I know you're gonna send me this later, but
no, I actually I've migrated away from me taking notes for the student. I prefer the student to take notes for themselves, so that actually works out for me quite well.
Great. How should
because like you're not plat anymore, you know, like we can start to kind of layer our understanding and think instead about like, well, there's nuance. It's up to how you want to do it, right? But you got to do it well no matter what you do.
I think that's a good point, because the thing I was gonna bring up about that is, which is funny because we just brought up Eichenwald, but sometimes what I'll do is I'll do my underground dash to go up to the stairs on the right.
Yep.
To split focus and hopefully help my team push in.
It's good.
But I do that as default, and I don't really think of when I should do that.
Right.
So that is something I need to think about more.
Yeah. I think a lot of it does depend on what space that they're holding. I had a similar session like this when I was coaching a Wrecking Ball player in that map, and we had to talk about how your rollout in the map there really does depend on what you're playing versus, because maybe they're holding that right side, in which case, especially with the Wrecking Ball, you can't really go through them, you know, so you have to kind of go where they're not. So basically for you, it just might be kind of looking at things from a big picture perspective and going, you know, do I want to force point? Do I want to flank around? Do I want to go right into their back line? I don't know. Okay, do you have any questions about playtime? I mean, you've seen, I'm sure, enough Spilo coaching videos and hopefully have enough self-awareness to know where I'm going to go with this.
Yeah, one thing I did want to ask too is sorry, before we get into it, is I did want to ask the viability of, I think this was when I first started this was very much let's see where I can push, and I wasn't really expecting to be able to one trick pass Diamond 5.
Yep.
So this is getting to a part where I am in more like uncharted waters for myself, where what is viable in terms of me being able to, and especially with bans coming and other stuff, of like stay one tricking Venture.
Yeah.
What is the commitment gonna look like for me to continue to grow, or stay in this rank, I guess?
Very meta dependent. I think Venture, Cassie, no bueno, right? Any random Roadhog metas really start to become punishing. So I would say that Venture's relatively flexible, and I think like if we were to just freeze time right now and say you need to grind in this current meta with Venture, I think GM, mid GM, very achievable depending on how much that you're playing. Bans coming up, meta more in flux, potentially can be bad or good for you. I would definitely pick up another character, at least as another pocket pick, just because there is a chance that Venture gets banned. And if I'm playing Venture on, you know, certain maps with Roadhog, Cast, Torb, you can play around them, but it's going to get more and more difficult. Let's put it that way. So,
right. Okay.
Yeah. Like I could just see Cassidy, Tracer, Roadhog, something like that, just being a bit of a nightmare depending on the situation. So, yeah, I would definitely pick up another character. And really, honestly, it doesn't really matter what the character is, because it's more of just like, okay, if I'm getting full counter picked and or banned, then I just have a pocket pick.
Gotcha. That's good to know.
But I would say Venture, you can push the bill for more so than probably the average damage hero.
Okay, cool. I'm sorry, what was the question before again?
Yeah, it was training schedule. Any questions about warm up?
Yes.
Breaks, playtime, anything along those lines?
No, I think for the most part, that's something that I've been able to come back to Overwatch more healthily, of like making sure to rest when I can, rest between games if I can, and then like like you say in a lot of your videos, 2 minutes of AXA just to warm up, and then
Yep.
uh go into queue. And while I'm in queue, I do some deathmatch to start
Yeah.
warming up, like
Yeah.
aiming
Yeah.
with actual
Yeah.
people.
Winter's weird. I think mechanically there's like a lot of demands for sure, but honestly less so than I
Hmm.
think the average character. Like if you go into your first game and you're only mildly warmed up, but you're really locked into like your positioning and your rotations and so on, you can carry like you can still win games just off of like your strategy, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
So like more so than like a Casty where the positioning is a little bit simpler and you just need to click heads from that angle. So okay. Things that are holding you back, and again, this is a long time ago, but lack of
Mhm.
clarity or specification. I'm comfortable not focusing less on the results of the game, but I do have a hard time trusting the process without fully understanding it. Well, I understand that, but I imagine that's less of a concern because you've had so much success.
Yes, yeah. Now, like, I think that I was getting hard stuck. I think that I forgot when I filled out the form, Plat 1, Diamond 5, I think. And I think that's the second wall I've had. And so there was a question of like, oh, well, honestly, my goal for this year was to hit a Diamond 5. So, I guess, is this my limit? So I don't
Yeah,
know if the process is working or not.
it
Now that
is.
I'm in masters, it does feel, yeah, it definitely feels like, oh, okay, this is the process. This
Yeah,
is
yeah, yeah, yeah,
that's
yeah.
I am feeling the process. So that it definitely gets more clarity.
Yeah,
The thing I'm hoping for now is like I did want to ask you about the expectations of like,
yeah.
well,
Ceiling.
yeah, what is I think skill
Yeah,
ceiling is still a concept that's hard for me to understand in general
yeah.
for like I get that Tracer has a high skill ceiling, but I only know that because I know everyone is playing Tracer at
Yeah,
high
you're
elo.
you're you're more
I
focused on
Yeah,
value ceiling more than anything else because
got
like
it. Okay.
you would think about like how much reward do I get out of min maxing the character, and that's where characters like Tracer can feel really really good. Venture value ceiling is more meta dependent. So Venture, I'd say, has a relatively low skill ceiling compared to other damage characters because once you
Mhm.
like really min max all the positioning, you've pretty much squeezed about all the value you can. You can't headshot. You know what I'm saying? So there's not like
Mhm.
you can squeeze out that much more mechanical practice. But I do think that like Venture still has a lot of flexibility, which is a huge benefit. So I think that again, I just spitballing like mid GM depending on meta. If you probably with
Okay.
the amount of time that you're playing, if you were like full on hard grinding every day, aiming for pro and supplementing Venture with a couple other characters, then I'd say top of the ladder, no problem.
Gotcha.
But I think you're playing like a relatively flexible DPS with relatively good training habits, good training mentality, and playing relatively consistently. I think GM is possible.
Okay. That's
GM is
good to know.
possible. Yeah, but obviously you're gonna have to like the problem is that like you're fresh off of a lot of success, but I'm gonna have to kind of be the asterisk of you have the harder you go, the harder it's going to get, right? Because
Right.
you're now reaching a point in time where you're playing versus really good players. Like you're almost in the top 1% basically already,
Mhm.
right? So it's only going to get harder from here on out, depending on the meta. But I don't know. Maybe Cassie will be bad again next season. Maybe Venture will get some perks. I mean, I think your perks are halfway decent too, so you got that going
Mhm.
for you. Yeah, so we'll see. I don't
Cool.
have any other questions from your forum. Do you have any other questions for me?
Yeah, I did want to ask what you think is best use of time. I have three codes that I can give a quick explanation on each one. I do have a couple other questions some more specific questions I want to ask, and then I also have two clips. I know that's a lot of
Yeah,
stuff.
no, no, no. So here's what I'd suggest. Let's
Mhm.
do questions first,
Okay,
clips, and then we'll talk about which codes to look over.
got it. Okay. Um, Diving feels where did I write this? Understanding. Oh, first understanding strafing. I
Yes.
do know that I shouldn't be jumping as much. That's like
Yep.
kind of like a stimming thing as like because I'm autistic, I just like jumping or doing something as I
Yep.
go.
Yep. 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 Yep.
But probably shouldn't be doing that. Is there any case where jumping does help? Because I do notice sometimes it does help with my aim because of like kind of that projectile verticality
Yes.
kind of thing.
So it's weird. So jumping helps you with your aim because it puts you in a predictable arc, which means you get shot more, but it also means it's easier for you to track what you're doing, if that makes sense.
Got it. Okay.
It's the same reason why standing still helps you with your aim. But the reason why standing still is better is because you can immediately change your environment. You can immediately change your situation. Whereas when you
Right.
jump, you've committed. And so your control of when you're in the air is significantly lower. So what I would do
Okay.
is I would instead treat yourself like a hit scan player. Instead of jump, find situations where standing still makes sense.
Okay.
Another principle that you can do as well, which I learned with Zenyatta, is the timing of your shots. So let me show you. This is similar concept, and this one is a little bit trickier to apply, but it's called, I call it TikTok strafing. So what that means is that it's the timing of when you shoot relating to your strafe. So instead of just, doing this, instead go bam, bam, bam. And you notice I'm
Okay.
kind of timing my shots at the end of my strafes when my motion is more predictable for me. That's another little detail that you can do. But honestly, rather than just going like this, it'd probably just be better for you to, try to just find times to stand still when you don't need to move.
Okay. Got it. Is I think that it depends on. I think I've heard you mention or somewhere else about strafing is something that is character dependent because
Yes.
of hitbox.
Yes. It's
Uh,
hitbox and
I,
also type of the shot as well.
Got
I
it.
can
From my
elaborate.
experience, it feels like Venture isn't something. It shouldn't be something I should be maxing out of like my ability to strafe on the character. Like that shouldn't be something I should be practicing, right?
Yes, because your hitbox is a bit fatter, I would say. So it
Right.
depends. It does depend. I would say that generally, like your engagements with Venture are super selective, so strafing is not as important. Whereas a character like Cassidy, they're just generally engaged for long. Like Venture's more like a burst engage character, right? Either you're
Okay.
behind a wall or you're in their face, and so that's kind of like the surprise factor there. I
Hmm.
would say strafing is worth your time, but it would be like a tertiary focus for you, like
Okay.
not as important as position, not as important as timing, and so on.
Gotcha.
And what I would do is I would
Um.
focus on when you need to be strafing. Like when would a strafe be useful? Like if I'm fighting a tracer, just general AD strafes nice and smooth is fine. I need to hit my shots, right? If I hit my shots,
Right.
I'm going to beat the tracer every time. But if it's versus a Cassidy, I'm like, oh shoot, I don't have a cooldown. Then yeah, those are the moments when I really need to whip out that strafe for that particular engagement, and I need to do a good job
Gotcha.
at it.
Okay. Okay. That makes sense.
Strafing's
Um.
freaking hard.
Yes. Um. Dueling. I sometimes have struggle finding it feels more serendipitous than I know what I'm doing because it doesn't happen that often when I duel a Torbjorn or Junkrat. Though Torbjorn more recently has come up, so I feel like I got more experience on that. But it does feel like I'm getting to a point where I'm like it's almost like seeing other one-trick Junkrats where since a Junkrat isn't usually meta, I don't get a lot of experience. Like Cass, I get enough experience that if I start having trouble with Cass, it's usually just because I'm bumping up in terms of people who main cast versus people who swap cast, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
So for the most part, understand the engagements with Cass very well. I'm struggling to understand when should I be taking duels with like a Torbjorn or like a Junkrat, especially like Torbjorn with the turret that's like blocking those
Yeah.
off angles.
Yeah, so the big thing with Torb is like obviously you don't engage him. I would say don't engage overload
Right.
unless he's distracted. Force overload and then kind of disengage it, wait it out, bait it out. But it is one of those cooldowns that you're just not going to want to play patty cake with.
Got it. Force overload.
Yeah,
Then disengage. Okay.
and just play it by ear, right? Like if you just hit two force overload, but you've hit two directs in a row and
Yeah.
you're full HP. I mean,
With cooldowns. Yeah.
yeah,
Got it.
there's always an asterisk, right? I would say Junkrat similar. Junkrat's another one of those where like you need to play around whether who hits their shots. When you engage a Junkrat and he hits a direct immediately and he's full, yeah, you know what I'm saying? If you hit a direct and you're full, okay. With Junkrat, again, it's mine. Really, it's mine.
Got it.
He's only got two. They don't take it. They take a little while to fully regenerate, but yeah. The nice thing about Venture is that you're kind of always at a disadvantage when they have cooldowns. But because of your positional flexibility, more so than almost any other character, you can always be the person forcing the cooldowns, and it's hard for them to force yours. And honestly, yours just come back so freaking fast, right? Like that's just the blessing of mobility, whether it's Genji, Tracer, Venture, Sombra, whatever. Is it's just generally if you play things well, you will always force their cooldowns, disengage, and then engage, and then they will be vulnerable. That's kind of how dive characters work. It's just that the superior positioning means that you always should have an advantage with cooldowns.
Gotcha. That actually brings me to my next question, which is, um, at least for dives, I guess I don't know if I'm doing it right. The only times I've ever done dive before, more with like a team or a group of friends, has been like on Genji, and it feels like I get that synergy from like being around the game for so long of like Winston, Tracer, Genji, but it feels like I don't know how to dive properly with Venture in terms of like it like let's say Winston jumps in, I would have to drill dash in. Wouldn't that make it so like I'm less effective in the dive because I have less cooldowns? Because
Dive is not
I'm
played
spending.
differently. So I'm going to interrupt you. Dive is not played any
Yeah.
differently than any other composition. So when you're Winston drill dashes, or your dive drill dashes, Winston drill dashing, boy, that's a wild mental image. When Winston dives in, you just do damage to anything that you can from your angle.
Okay.
If that's shooting tank, if that's shooting tracer, it's fine. There is no responsibility for you to quote unquote follow up off of the dive. The follow up off the dive is just simply doing damage on anything.
Got it. Okay.
So Ventures, because if you look at the majority of dive characters like Genji and Tracer and Winston and Lucio or whatever, not the majority, but a lot of them, your advantage is really not your mobility. You still have it, but it's not your mobility. It's actually your poke. So if I'm pressuring versus a Winston or Tracer or Genji, I actually am Venture often doesn't really try to follow up off of the dive unless you can get there. It's just I'm gonna poke out their Tracer or poke out their Genji or poke out their Winston.
Is in terms of poke, does that like while the dive is happening or before?
Just
Can
play
you
the
clarify
game.
that?
Yeah, just play the
Got
game.
it. Okay.
Yeah, like the
Okay.
answer is a lot simpler than you think it is. Just play. Yeah. When you
Okay.
think about like what does I do with the dive? I don't know. Take an angle, shoot stuff, you know? If I'm playing versus a Cassidy, a bunch of like really slow characters, I can go for deeper angles. If I'm playing versus a Genji Tracer, I don't need to go for deeper angles. That's it. And if they're running like
Okay.
Cassidy Tracer, well then it's up to you.
I guess that's the part that I'm concerned about of if I know that I struggle with engagement time. So let's say, isn't that me off my timing though? If my whole team like boosts in or Winston jumps in and I'm no longer in the fight, was that something like how would I have known to?
When you say you're no longer in the fight, does it mean that you're literally incapable of shooting anybody on the enemy team?
I guess the example I can think of would be like Gibraltar, right? If they dive that first high ground and
Yep.
on first point, if I'm at the start point of where they do the jump or where they
Yep.
do the dive, I'm now behind. If that
Well,
makes
you're not on
sense.
an angle,
Okay,
so that's bad positioning.
so
now
I
you
should
could-
have started assuming they would dive in.
Well, you should go where is an angle that I can take to shoot the enemy team? Whether
Okay,
that's
got
from
it.
left, right, going up the stairs, kind of shooting up. Heck, you could even force cart. That's an angle,
Okay,
right? So
I see what you mean.
yeah, like it's the answer is very simple. Just whatever you can access from an angle. That's all.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah.
Thank you. The next thing I had was something I've also struggled historically is understanding like skill degradation of like if I take a week off, am I worse? And like for fitness, there's certain things about like how long your muscle retains and stuff like that, and diet and stuff. But for video, like in terms of Overwatch as a video game, and a lot of the mechanics being knowledge based, but some of the mechanics being like physical. Like, what does it take to sustain your skill or like your rank? Would you say?
Significantly less than the amount it took to get you there. So,
Okay.
for example, it took a lot of work for me to get Venture to Masters. And then they did the cooldown change, which I was begging them for finally, so that you get the there's not a flat reduction on Drill Dash Hunter. It's like a just accelerated cooldown. So it made
Right.
cooldown cycling much simpler. And then I basically play Venture like once a week, if that, like really just not at all. But within, I think, 2 days, probably could play Venture at a comfortable Masters level right now.
Okay.
Now, Venture is a very strategic character for me, so it's very easy to immediately pick up and apply the concepts immediately rather than a mechanical character. But I would say if I would just pick a random number, you could probably sustain most of the time at 50% of the workload, maybe a little bit less, depending on the person, depending on when you're playing, how you're playing, and depending on the character.
Gotcha.
The more
Okay.
mechanical the character, the higher the uptime to be able to output that same level. But yeah, it's still lower.
Gotcha. Um, okay. Last two things I had before moving to clips was I am noticing I mean this can also be something I sit with more, but I am noticing uh it a lot harder for me to gain value or use my alt in on these higher like in these higher lobbies now.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm wondering if it's an issue of misunderstanding of my alt or
Mm-hmm.
just adapting to a higher skill based lobby.
It's probably both. I think that you talk about ultimates that don't scale well, that feel challenging. They're mostly because they are a little bit harder to apply. So there's like it's like a dragon blade. Like all of a sudden it just feels like you die instantly, right? So you just gotta kind of go back to the drawing board and be like, okay, I gotta actually engage my brain. Now I'm gonna be communicating this off of the assumption that you're choosing the correct perk here, right? The ultimate,
Yes.
the increased
Yeah,
score, I
yeah.
think is absolutely the correct perk right now. It's significantly increases the quality of your ultimate engages. So Venture's perk is you are Venture, but a lot better, basically.
Hmm.
So what that means is that you do normal things and are ready for one of two things. Either you go take an aggressive, I mean, I would always take an aggressive angle when I have that,
Hmm.
but you must know the Venture principle, I say, the Kevster principle. Otherwise, you will fail miserably. The most important thing for you to do with your ultimate, the two things, aggressive angle, respond to pressure perfectly and instantly.
Okay.
And that goes both ways. That might mean, okay, there are three people on me, instantly burrow. I'm always on a corner. I'm an aggressive angle, but I'm on a corner. Just burrow. Wait, don't even, maybe not even use the ultimate. Just burrow, right? Because they're common. Win the fight off of the ultimate, but don't do it through. Don't die for it, right? The second thing is if they don't give you respect, then you need to murder their families.
Got it. Okay.
Like that's the thing is whenever you have a bad Venture ultimate, it's either not staged well on an angle or they were completely ignored or completely focused and they just were not ready for that.
Right. Okay. I see what you mean.
So we can look at it in the codes, but it's going to be important that you're staging properly and honestly, like, just respond to what's given.
I think that's something. Sorry, I like also talking aloud to reflect on it.
That's great. That's fine.
I think that what you bring up is a good point of like something I struggle with the Kevster principle, or at least I think is an underlying theme with my growth is I like doing a lot of like sneaky tactics in the beginning, and when I do well, they are more aware of me.
Yep.
And
And
if
then
I
you win the
don't,
game even harder, right?
yes, yeah, yeah, yeah. And so if I don't apply the Kevster principle, I can't be sneaky anymore because they're looking for me.
Correct.
So I don't
Correct.
think I'm doing that with my alt either. Okay,
Yeah,
got it.
yeah. I mean, I've noticed a lot of Ventures just cover usage, right? Like, I think that it's something that we always forget whenever we're playing anglers, whether it's Tracer, Sombra, Genji, whatever, is that like, oh, I can position on flank, so I don't need cover. Yes, you do. Because what allows you, I mean, translocating to cover as Sombra is what prevents you from dying. Burrowing on cover as Venture is what prevents you from dying, right? I can't tell you, like, probably half of my deaths are Venture due to lack of cover, at least, if
Right.
not more. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Great. Thank you. Sweet. I do have two clips I wanted to show.
Let's do it.
Should I share my screen?
Whatever you'd like. Yeah, let's do it.
Okay. Oh, geez. Okay.
Pull this up here.
Okay. So this one is more of a macro question. Can you see the video?
Sure can.
Okay. Let me make it a little bigger too. This is more, I guess, just a quick pick your brain what our team could have done better. We were about to hit overtime, and I mean, solo queuing, there's always going to be some miscommunication here, but I guess we start setting up. Let me go a little more. Okay, we start setting up. I have the idea of maybe catching them from behind as my team gets from the front.
Yep. Very slow composition, so you can go really greedy with your angles.
Mm-hmm. But they kind of just push past my team, which I do think, like, maybe like hindsight, my team probably should have staged down here by the bridge. But I guess my question is if that is true in terms of a macro sense of what we should have set up, and then also the next part being, now that they're past us, what should we have done instead?
Well, you just don't have it. You just were too late to rotate. That's the problem. So pause. So you first off, so let's go back even sooner than that. So I appreciate the sneakiness, like right here, but you didn't. You should have scouted this almost immediately, peeking out that window. Oh my gosh, they're a million miles away. I should drill dash further on the bridge and just kind of linger behind. So you're really lagging behind. This is kind of like that Gibraltar example where you're like, I'm not sure what I need to be doing. Well, you're just not engaged at all. So that's fine because the fight hasn't started yet. So it's not the end of the world. But then that translates to play it a little bit further now. So that translates to your team rotates towards your angle, which is like, that's kind of annoying. But then they double back, not the end of the world. But the problem is that this fight has started right now and you are not engaged at all.
Got it. Okay.
So you're very late. So
when you said I should rotate to the bridge, like where my sojourn is, right?
No. When I said to the bridge earlier, I meant deeper, closer to them on the same bridge that you came out. So you peeked out the window, saw that they were a million miles away, and stayed there. Now you need to catch up. You need to be there when your team is there. So this goes back to the Gibraltar example. It doesn't matter what angle or where you shoot from, but you have to be engaged somewhere. Like right now, this fight is starting and you are doing literally nothing right now. So this is where the nice thing about Venture is you do have catch-up mechanics. So like right now, drill dashed behind the clock tower or whatever the frick that thing is and go right now. Get onto that Zarya Warrior now. So
Got it. Okay.
I'm not sure what you do. Maybe you do drill dash, play it a little bit.
No, I think I get.
Yeah, you do. But it's too late, right? So now you're like, crud. I can't even reach them with my primary fire. So like you're almost there. You're almost useful, right? But you're not quite.
Right.
And I think that's what hurts here.
And so in this case, I kind of focus on just trying to finish up the Reaper, but I'm pretty sure they still have phase or whatever it's called, where he kind of goes invulnerable.
Wraith.
Yeah, Wraith. I think the bot actually ends. I'm sorry. Can you see my cursor?
I can.
Okay. I think the push starts here somewhere.
Yep.
In this case, should I have just caught up with the rest?
No.
Since we already have. Okay.
No. You lagged behind, but at least you're doing something now. So okay, sure.
Got it.
Yeah, forcing Wraith is useful. Like the reason why this may not work is because. Okay, wait. Why is he not dying? Yeah, your team just.
I think he teleported out. Yeah, I think he just had full cooldowns.
That's a huge fumble from your team to not punish that Wraith. It's a huge fumble for your team for your Sojourn to die to nothing, and you're also going into a fight where they have 1, 2, 3 ultimates, and you guys didn't have any at the start of that engagement. So.
Gotcha. Okay. Cool.
Yeah. I think the main thing for me here is the fact that you needed to be contributing when your team was fighting, and you weren't. You rotated too late.
Got it. Okay, that makes sense.
So that's the opposite of the Kevster principle. They were giving you zero attention, and you were way too late to respond to that.
Yeah, I think. Okay. No, that's helpful. I think one of the reasons I didn't, like you said, I did see them go past me. Yeah. I think my worry, or at least like in trying to understand cover, is if I just went fully out here, then my all attention's on me and I get blasted. Right?
But there's nothing
I
happening right now. So this is more of like, okay, where is this fight going to happen? Clearly look at where your team is. I need to be ready for that. It's going to happen right around where the robot starts or a little bit past. That's fine to be here, but as soon as they start to cross, you got to get your button gear. You got to go there fast.
Yeah. I think also like that's a good point in terms of like if I come out like if I walk straight toward them, they're gonna see me. But if I go on bridge, that at least gets me closer to them, but cover still.
And versus these very immobile compositions, don't forget that you have the best staging in the entire game next to Sombra, right? You just can't be punished. Like you can drill dash, you can burrow, like they just can't really do anything to stop you from going on whatever angle that you want.
Gotcha. Okay.
Yeah, I don't think. I think beyond that, like once you started shooting Reaper, it's fine. Like you made the best of what you could have. But
okay, cool. And then the next one. This is actually your video, but it does cover something I did have want to ask. So you brought up a point. So this is a flank I have used on Eichenwald. So you come down here, shoot up here.
Yes.
My question is, a lot of times I'm starting to get stuck on situations where it's not necessary that they have a cast. It's because their supports are with the cast and the cast is looking for me, or the supports are sticking with their cast or their DPS. Yes. And so my question is, when I'm on my lane, what happens if it's a 2v1 constantly? Should I then like find a different lane? What if it's a map where it's hard for me to find another lane?
No, take it. The Capture principle doesn't state that you should avoid 2v1s. It just says that you should approach 2v1s with respect.
Okay.
So this is extremely dangerous 2v1, but if you're able to keep their attention half of the time, it's an extremely valuable 2v1 for your team. Extremely valuable.
I guess that's my thing, though. It's like, since it's so dangerous and I want to give it with respect, I feel like even with the Kevster principle, I can't do much here. I drill up here, or like I burrow out and come up here, instantly hindered or instantly slapped.
Well, see, that's where you're wrong. So when you talk about how you're engaging that, you're wrong. That's not you're right. You wouldn't do that. You would never do that, almost never, unless you hear that they've got no cooldowns. So how would you keep their attention? How would you bait their attention? How would you give them respect without engaging onto them? That's where most ventures fail, right? Is that they can't understand that I can't pull their attention or do damage without diving them. But you and I both know that that's not the case. What should you do instead?
I guess for me, this is a harder situation because I can't even poke them from down here. And if I do, then they just look over the ledge and like I have to go back down into the tunnel.
But that's okay.
But so best case scenario, it feels like I poke them out, I go into the tunnel. I do get that distraction. Worst case scenario, they just move farther into the other side of this like place and I can't get to them.
And that's fine. What else could you do from this angle here? Zoom back, move the cursor on. I think I give you better perspective here at some point in this video. Maybe forward then instead, because actually this is worse. Yeah, this is okay. So you see Sigma on top, you see Ash on top, you see where payload is. Be creative here. Because remember, you just want pressure, right? So you could poke them from underneath, see if they respond to you. What else could you do from here?
So it's like so are you saying if I landed on this ledge here?
No, from underneath.
Underneath, got it. Okay. Try to take space on the other high ground area?
You could. Yeah, you could poke from the other side of the bridge, yeah. What about cart?
Push cart, or like...
Sneak up underneath, touch cart, get ready to burrow real fast. You get what I'm saying?
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
The concept is not so much about engaging into them, and you're correct with that. Like, you would probably die unless you heard Sleep Dart, Nade, Hinder, whatever. It's more about, like, can I make people look at me from this position and or pressure, whether that's using the objective or whether that's using a little bit of poke. I agree with you, the poke's a little awkward here. Maybe there's a world where you can. It would be worth experimenting with, but cart's fine. Objective's fine.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. See. Awesome. Thank you.
No problem.
That's my questions and the clips. So I have 3 codes I wanted to run by you. The
Yep.
first one is this one was a wide match. I think it was Masters 4 to GM1, but it still felt like a close game. I think this would talk more about like the pacing aspect of it felt of like I feel like I guess after talking to you about it, maybe I was just not in the right position, but it just felt like I was off tempo with my team
Yep, could
constantly.
be. Could be. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I would prefer when we were talking about clips, like I would look at replays where there it feels like there is an ignorance at play.
Okay.
Because that way, especially given the amount of time that we have, like there can be some teaching or some evaluation of like what you're doing.
Right. The other one is Hollywood Masters 5 to 3. Felt like I did nothing and died a lot. And then the last one is Route 66. We had a really strong
Wait, can you
attack.
remind me what the first map was? You said Hollywood Route 66, and what was the other one?
Oh, the first one was Numbani.
Numbani. Those are some hard maps for adventure.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah, so I don't think
Um,
that's an accident that those are the maps that made the cut. So let's just kind of keep
yeah.
that in mind. So continue,
Um,
LB.
but yeah, so the last one was Route 66, GM4 to Masters 3. We had a very strong attack. Um, and then they switched to cast, which wasn't too big of a deal, but it felt like I was just constantly being watched and I couldn't do anything about it.
Okay,
But
sounds
I
good.
think, I'm second guessing the last code just because I think it does apply to what we just talked about. Of
Yep,
maybe that's more about Kev's principle of like being more creative. Of like if I can't poke them out, try to get their attention some other way.
yep. Whatever you'd like. Yep.
Okay. So maybe. Um. So I guess maybe we start with the first code then.
Sure.
Uh.
Because we're
Would it be
pressed for
easier
time
for?
is go ahead.
Mhm.
I said
Would it
because
be
we're
easier for?
oh my
Sorry.
gosh, we're no, it's okay. Go ahead. You go first. You go first.
I was gonna say, would it be easier if I typed it in and
Yeah, that would
to
be
Discord?
easier. Yeah,
Yeah,
that would be
cool.
easier. Yeah, I was gonna say if
Sorry, you
you
were saying?
because we're a little pressed for time, what we could do here as well is we could look at the ugly points and on like one or two different codes as well if you'd like. So like we don't
Great.
have to watch the whole code, but just like okay, this is a specific spot. So with this code in particular, what spot were you really struggling with, or was it maybe all of it? I don't know.
Gotcha. I did also put in the other code if we have time for that one.
Okay, can you see this all right?
Yes.
Okay, so what spots here, if any,
Uh,
did you want
I,
to look at in priorities?
I I think just in general, I feel like I'm not sure. I feel like
Sure.
I kept trying to set up, but then the rest of the some of the team died.
On paper,
Uh,
first point should be your hardest, I think.
yes.
I think just how broad this is and looking at this. So this is like, I think this is a pretty reasonable setup here. This angle is yours. You're even, so we should walk. Kind of lost the EDRA, but that's okay. This is just unfortunate that you lost the space and so you had to drill dash back up, but honestly, this is fine. I think you can
And
be a
then,
little bit more proactive there. I know you're down one,
okay.
but let's just kind of like let it cook here. If I say anything that doesn't make any sense and I'm skipping steps
Right.
with explaining, it's because you're masters. But don't feel stupid if you're like, hey, can you stop and elaborate on that? I'll be happy to do
I
so.
I actually do want some elaborate because for me this was a moment I think we were down one and I noticed our support was way back. Historically, if I've ever tried to like let's say burrow all the way to try to like set up on high ground or like
Yeah.
even go farther back,
Yep.
they've caught me or like
Yeah.
especially if my team rotates out, they'll come chase me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this is just more so the fact that your Winston's still engaged in this fight, so I would like you to be a little bit more engaged as he's disengaging, just poking a little bit heavier from that angle. But it's
Okay.
not.
Okay,
I
got
wouldn't
it.
worry too much. Yeah, it's not that deep really.
Got it.
Like for example, right now, like the problem is I don't think you're really paying attention to what your Winston's doing right now. Like look at you can see him through the wall, right? So
Right.
he's thinking, man. He's going to go. Like he's ready to go. My guy's ready to go, right? So
Right.
even though your Ash is like, okay, technically you probably should wait a little bit here. This is where you need to be thinking, okay, can I at least do something a little bit like distraction-y, like while we're going, just to make sure that I'm there on time. And then from here, because you haven't even looked, you don't know what to do from here. What to do from here is
Right.
actually to fight the Pharah, right?
Okay.
I don't hate what you're doing here either, because this is definitely seems like an intention to follow up off of a dive, but there isn't as much from you here. You feel a little bit late just based off of your Winston's body language. Good.
Gotcha.
It's a nice Suzu. Yeah, you probably could have drill dashed that one sooner, just based off of like, this is one of those risk analysis. So like right here.
Mm-hmm. Got it.
She's not looking. Go. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
That's one of the ones where it's like you're running a risk, of course, because that is your escape cooldown, but either save it entirely and disengage or commit to the duel.
Okay.
I think you made a high risk, high reward play there, and I think it was worth that risk, and you just failed the execution because you didn't use your drill dash when she wasn't looking.
Gotcha. Okay. So to clarify, you mean like shoot drill immediately, right?
Yes, yes. If they're not looking, take the opportunity. You can't hesitate. Hesitation's defeat, right? So either you fully commit to the low risk, low reward play and just don't use your drill dash at all there, or you fully commit to going in for the combo. Your choice.
Okay, that's a good point. I think I do a lot of high risk, high reward, but I still, before that, I even still hesitate by doing like, let me at least see if my first shot goes. But
yeah. I'm much more of a high risk, high reward player, so I generally die a lot, but I create a lot of space and win fights through that. I do the same thing with Sombra. I just always think I'm that guy, and I'm not always that guy. But at the very least, I'm consistent with my analysis of the situation, thinking there's at least a reward here. And so when I do high risk, high reward, it at least causes a big buzz, and it scares people, right?
Right.
Like this here is high risk, low reward. This is terrible.
Right.
So I know what you're trying to do here, but what needs to be done instead? You don't have a good angle to poke here, right? This is awkward. So you need to improve your positioning first.
Okay, use my cooldown cycle, like mobility cycle, to go into room.
Sure. Which room though? And see, that's the tricky thing. Actually, it doesn't really matter, right? This is okay here. This is also okay, but it's a lot riskier. But at least there's like, either one, right? Either one.
I was thinking second room, and then I would take stairs so I could draw attention.
Sure. But this here, you're freaking dead.
Right. Okay, that makes sense.
Right. And I wonder, I want to get to some root cause analysis here. Is this because you're trying to follow up off of your Winston dive?
That and also I think there's that idea that we mentioned earlier of like, if I go first, I know I can draw attention and let my tank in, and I know that room is bad for people to walk out of.
I get that. That's clever. Obviously, just the execution of it is just horrendous, right? So what I would do is I would drill dash here and then burrow here. So even if I hit too far directs, it's only far. I'm not getting shot by everybody else too. And if you want to be really conservative, you could burrow and drill dash underneath. But yeah, I mean, really, this is just, that's insanity.
Yeah.
And ultimately means that you're not staged well to do damage at all. And you're also freaking dead, right? So just poor staging there. And I think what happens is, I think that's a reflection. I see this all the time. It's a reflection of how frustrated and confused you feel right now. And so instead of like looking at things, maybe I'm reading too much into it. Instead of looking at things from just like a strategical standpoint, you start to force crap, and that just was just super ugly, right? Like that. No, if I saw that clip, if I saw that clip, I'm thinking plat. No offense, right?
No, for sure, yeah.
Right. It's just stupid, right? And it's because you don't know exactly what to do.
Right. No, that's a good point.
Sometimes it's just keep doing the thing that you're doing. You know, like right now, for example. Should have a little sooner next time.
Yeah,
a little sooner. I don't hate this though. At least you're thinking, right? Okay, look at me, look at me, look at me. Okay, I see bubble. So just honestly, you could just freaking drill dash up. Not like no joke, right? Just drill dash straight up in the sky, you know, and then stay on that angle. You know, it's actually, but at least this time you're like being a little bit more clever about it, right? And so it gets cooldowns, right? It gets Tracer's attention, it gets sleep dart, it gets bubble. It's fine. Yep. 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 Good. Yep. Nothing really to say here. Yeah. I mean, it was hideous, but it's also the first fight where you actually felt like you staged something, right? Which was a verticality push on the Ana and then disengage when she looks at you, and it worked. That worked. It wasn't the only thing that went well for your team, but it was all right. So this is where I would be thinking, okay, I don't want to sit here and play patty cake with Nano Tracer. Where's my angle? What can you do? What position can you hold here? Let's think of something low risk. Let's think of something high risk. You tell me.
I can maybe get high ground and duel the far from coming in.
Yep. A little bit more low risk, but yeah, absolutely. Very, very good. Get off the floor. Utilize your kit. You think of something high risk here?
High risk.
You got me?
Maybe so like okay, so like drill through and go into rooms to
burrow through. Yeah, get him, get in there. Like, hey guys, look at me, 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 and uncover, right? Like you got that. But yeah, pull him over here, right? Your choice.
I think I thought about that when you asked me the question, but then I couldn't think of a way to survive. But I think if I go into room, that would work. Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And it's honestly like this is one of those situations where it's like, is there a world where you don't have guaranteed survivability on that flank? Yep. Still worth it though.
Right.
Not everything has to be a guaranteed survival. It has to be, I'm going to die, but I'm going to make it expensive, right? In the same manner of when you were thinking about breaking this choke, if you were to end, like let's say in this room with a drill dash, if they want you dead, they are going to kill you here. This Tracer on they would have killed you here. But think about how expensive it would have been to let your entire team walk out of the choke for free and how long you would have lived there. When you burrow, drill dash, sit around here, and then unburrow here, if they really wanted you dead, they would chase you even post drill dash and kill you. But you'd kept the point.
And then if they didn't go for me, then I can just flank from behind.
Yes.
Got it. Okay. Yeah. That makes sense.
So what I'm noticing is that generally your setups are okay. Like you're gonna be, if you're masters, your setups are okay. Let's put it this way. Like they're just objectively, like you're not gonna get the masters without knowing how to set up overall. But maybe these like dynamic rotations and as these things evolve, it's something that you need to continue to solve here. So any map that feels really bad, in the moment, do the best that you can. Don't worry about it. But you do need to go back in hindsight and study your replays, even if it's just for 5 minutes, and solve where you needed to rotate, because Venture is basically nothing but positioning. And if you can't figure that out, then you're screwing yourself over.
Okay.
Like this is pretty good right here. Like you're obviously like you're thinking about like it's no comment there. But then, like, right here, this is just not great. Like, this isn't, like, as this fight's evolved, she's walked forward, and you're kind of existing here, right? So based off of what you see, you need to make a decision. You need to off-angle the Zarya properly, maybe help control space here, because this gives you a nice angle here. Or you do need to go for this Ana. But then the question needs to be, how do you need to go for this Ana, right? Not here. Not here. This is open space.
That actually was a misclick. I was supposed to drill out the other way, but yeah.
Sure.
Still not good. Still not good.
Right, but it's where you came out was bad, right? So if you're gonna come out, it's gotta be here, or it's gotta be here. It's gotta be like, hey, I know I'm in deep, but like I'm gonna give it the respect that I deserve. And again, I think because this problem is difficult, you're playing worse than you normally do, which is normal. That's normal, but it does show that these weak points are serious weak points for you. I distinctly remember I had a Sombra game post her initial rework, and it was on Blizzard World Second Point versus Cassidy Torbjorn. I did not know what to do. I did not know what to do. In hindsight, I was able to figure it out and replay, but it took me a long time. But what that meant is because I didn't know what to do, I actively fed.
Right.
I made a lot of mistakes I don't normally make. So I really had to figure out what was the strategy, because when you don't know what to do, things get really ugly. Like this is a low risk, low reward position, right? Yeah. But you're being strategic about it, at least, right? You're off angling, you go for the combo and Tracer, no hesitation there. Now you could have died there, but there's no hesitation. And so that's a decent trade.
I guess that's if we can go back a little bit, that is something I like. I did end up wanting to go towards before I died, the Ana part. Like I think the hesitation came because like Ana was there, Pharah was there, Ayari was there, all people who can poke me out. I try to start taking space, but then the Zarya pops out, and so I guess that's why there was so hesitation to just be close to cart is like, well, then if everyone's like gonna poke me out, how do I get closer to anyone? Especially now there's a Zarya in my face, right?
Yeah. Well, again, yeah, there you have to. How do I get close? Right? Do I play this angle here? Do I utilize if I burrow and drill dash? Can I get inside here and live long enough for it to matter? Or should I approach the Ana from here, or I drill dash and burrow here quickly instead? Like you're right.
Okay.
It is how do I get close? How do I play cover? You didn't figure it out.
I think what you also mentioned, which is a good point here, is I'm going to people, not spots. So even then, when you gave me that example, I didn't think to go to the stairwell. I thought to go straight to the Ana instead of to a
We talked about cover, remember? We talked about cover, right? At all roads lead back to cover. That's just why this position is working, is because you have cover, right? What if a Tracer ignored you here, you just continue to rotate and you'd use the cover here instead. Tracer's focusing you, but to focus you, she has to walk into a small space with you, which obviously leads to some interesting ramifications for her health, right? And that's why this cooldown trade works so well, because you take 2 tensions worth of DPS and live comfortably. Well, not comfortably, let's not lie, but you live while actually not really taking any crazy risks here, right?
Right.
And then you go, okay, they've backed out. Now where's the next step? And this is like fine because it's a devolved fight, but this needs to be, okay, I have burrow. Where's the next step? Where's the next position?
I should go into room behind Ana.
You should. Somewhere in this vicinity,
Got it.
here or here or here needs to be the spot. Cover, you got your cooldowns, you can go. You can go. Let's go. But instead, it's like, oh, I think Ana, I ult. You pull the Spylo, which is look down at the ground. Really important you don't look down at the ground, because don't forget your ult's a projectile, right? So it's like it has a travel time. So you need to be looking at the Ana's movement patterns to lead your shots.
That makes sense. Okay.
Right? So here, you almost miss her. You drill dash, mess up, and then you hit her, but you're not looking at how she's moving, so you miss.
Right. I'm looking at the ground. Okay.
Right. And then because you don't have super clean cover, you almost end up dying for it. And you probably should have. In fact, you still might. Okay, we're good. Next angle, next step. This is when I just go, I don't think the Ana's guy. I don't think the Ana's that guy, so I'm just gonna drill dash and burrow and just go crazy, just sit here, But you need to create some space here. And I'm doing so because I like that space there. I'm pointing at the camera like you can see me, but I like that I like that area over here. I also like this too. This is good.
I think that was a thought, and then I was
fine.
worried I was just gonna get poked out.
Yeah, that's fine. This is good. This is good space for you, and that's why Tracer leaves. Like she knows it. She can't fight you here. Sure. I mean, this is really boring, but it's good.
Okay.
They just ulted you. Yeah, and you just ended in a bad spot, right? I mean, that's been a consistent theme here. Is like, okay, so you've compressed their angle. You can keep poking whatever from here. Trust the process. Don't do anything flashy. Or if you want to deepen your angle, do it so like here. Or if you want to cheat your system because you have invulnerability cooldowns, you can burrow, drill dash, and change your angle to over here or here if you really, really, really want to go for backline here.
Right. Same thing. I was going towards a person, not a position.
Exactly.
Got it.
All of it is about playing a position. Now, you can let the person dictate what position that you hold. For example, when we were thinking about going to that room, it's because the Ana was there, but we go, okay, that's what I want, so what's the process of getting there? You don't cheat the system. It's like us saying, I want to lose weight, and you chop off a leg. No. When you say you lose weight, what's the process by which you want to get there, right?
Right.
This is fine. It's advantageous positioning for you. It's good. This is fine. This is fine. Like, this is kind of what I talk about, like, the hesitation thing. Like, you see Tracer peek out, just drill dash her. She screws up, she dies. If she blinks out, you're fine. You're not going to get punished for that. You have the choke advantage here. Like, she's the one that's getting stuffed, and you're still getting a little bit of poke value here. This is good. Yep. Sure. Where's your next setup? There's your next setup.
I guess I don't like this high ground area too much because it feels like I keep getting poked out, and then I know Pharah will come from the other side.
Sure.
So I guess there's some hesitation there.
Yeah, remember you're thinking about architecture though. So even when you pop up here, where do you need to be popping up? Not here, like here, right? Or if you're popping up like here or somewhere where you have a little bit of cover, because then you're like, oh, I know you didn't mean to catch this, sorry, but you're dead now. So because of where you ended up with that drill. I think the more this map opens up, the more confused that you look. Because it's not that you're stupid, it's the fact that it is just really hard with Venture, but it needs to be done better. That's your limiting factor right now. Again, it's not an accident that it's a struggle on Numbani. Of course, it's freaking Numbani.
Okay.
But this is good. This is good. I would just drill dash burrow, just to make some noise for my diva.
Okay.
Yeah, this is fine. Big. They were not ready for that space. Yep, this is fine. Oops.
Got it. Okay. Sorry, I actually lost track of how much time we have. Do we have time to go to the other code?
Yep.
Or...
Let's look at one or two fights from the other code. I don't mind running a few minutes over. I let my next session know that we were running a little bit behind, so shouldn't be a problem.
Thank you.
Most of it has been like playing the position, not the person, and then as these fights evolve into these more like weird rotations, you're struggling to keep up with it.
Burrow to position.
Okay, so if we're gonna look at two fights here, what point do you know? Do you remember?
Sorry, give me one second. Directly to person. Sorry, I don't remember.
I'm gonna think second point. I'm gonna predict second point here. Well, let's see if you were the problem, quote unquote, on first point, and then we'll go from there. The signal's fine. No hesitation. That's good. Kind of passively hold it. Do you need to burrow that? Yeah, that's just ego. Yeah. That's a bit of ego. Okay. So that's just a stupid decision that happens. Go next. Your team might have lost. I don't know if I like that angle. You need to take space. This is not taking space. So where's space here? Where's the architecture that you can play comfortably?
Stairwell or behind?
Yep. Not here. Because now you've just kind of reset for 10 damage or whatever the burrow damage is.
Okay. Right.
Yeah. And this is not good architecture for you because it's opens, but you can't do anything about it because you don't have your burrow yet. So this is okay. Yeah, that's good. Don't peel back. Hold off the back line. Yeah, and this is falling in open space again. So this is that's a good burrow, like a good drill dash, but like you keep either egoing people in close range, that's a 2v1, or falling in open space. So I'm going to be honest with you. Some of these mistakes are probably just really dumb errors from you and not something that you consistently do. So I'm not going to worry too much about it. Okay, this space is fine because short range off angle, lots of accessibility to whatever you want. Good combo, nicely done. That's fine. Catcher, go for it, nicely done. Good shots, Roadhog swap. A little stressful. This space is good. I like this space for Venture. Nice and short. Lots of opportunities here. That's crazy from Tensa. What is Blood doing?
Yeah.
So this one is just... It's because the position that you're in, you are not equipped for retention. It is unquestionable that you will get this is a very loud, noisy ult. And we'll do a lot, but you can't do it from here because you're in the open, and that's why you're making the noise, as am I.
Yeah.
It's just where you did it. The angle is good. Like, if you could do it from here, straight up, fine.
Yeah. I think I knew the soldier was coming up, but I didn't have my drill fast enough for combo. And so I saw him drop to half, and then no one else was looking, so I thought I could get away with it.
Yeah, I understand. This is just where I would go, okay, I got the kill. Maybe I drill dash, off to the side or burrow immediately and just pray they don't hit their shots. Like, honestly, I don't know if there's a good solution there. But that's the ult wasn't good, not because the idea of the ult wasn't good, but because of where you did it, such that if they look at you, you're dead.
Right.
There was a reason
think,
behind it in the 1v1, but that's your mistake. It's not a 1v1. It's a 3v1 or a 4v1 at that point.
I think what you said also resonates, where it's I did win the 1v1, not time to get out, because now I'm in a position where if they see me, they can't. I'm dead. So that's a good point. Okay.
Good rotation. Good little angle here. Just need to decide here what you want to do. I mean, it's just too low in HP to do that. That's all. Just need to decide whether you wanted to contest Soldier, the 2v1, whether you wanted to poke Hog. Your choice. And then play it appropriately. Venture just does not give room for errors with this kind of stuff, as you know.
Right.
I don't like this here. So this is no longer an angle because of where you are with the rest of your team.
I was waiting. I thought Roadhog was coming up so I can push him off and keep high ground.
Sure, that's fine, but obviously it means that they're going to be able to push cart for free if they're smart. So just angle.
Got it. Okay.
Just angle. Like, there's always a punishment for a lack of angle from your team. Let's put it that way. Always.
Okay.
Whether they're smart enough to punish it or not, I don't know. But Roadhog walking up on top of you guys with or without you is stupid. So I wouldn't worry about it as much.
Got it. I see what you mean.
This is good. This is good space for you.
Like, if he's coming up by himself, what's the point of pushing him off? He's going to get punished with all of us up
exactly.
there
Exactly.
Right.
And you're going to cut off his support system at the same time. This is good. This is good angle from you. This is really risky. A little too soon to pop out, to be honest with you. But the fact that your team is dying is not really your problem. I'd imagine your ball got hooked and the Soldier followed up off of that, but like that happens. Your initial setup was good. This burrow is also fine, just as long as you know where you're going. Looks like you're going to go for the high-risk, high-reward play, which is honestly not too shabby. You're already down some, so you might as well. Yeah, that's fine. That's fine. Like, you were down a few. You could have lived, but yeah. It just seems like your team is going to be staggering. That sucks.
I think especially... I think rewatching this with you also makes me realize I look at burrow too much as a damaging tool and not and don't use it really well to reposition.
Sure. It's the same thing with Numbani. It's that mid-fight rotational stuff. The initial setup is good. Like, for example, right now, this is excellent. But as they respond to this, what's going to be your next step? I'm curious. Like, right here, right? This is good. This is good. You basically were like, okay, I have an out, right? If a bunch of people push me, nobody pushes you, so you're like, oh, I can handle this. Yeah.
Well, actually, I'll be honest. I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just,
sure, but at least you ended in a small room, right? You ended in a small room, right? So it's like, this is good. And by the way, the ult's good too, because it's a true 1v1, and you can respond to attention accordingly. So
I think for that too, it's that is a really good point. I think I'm too used to. I do a lot of time in deathmatch, so I notice sometimes I'm really good at 1v1s, but I don't focus on who else can see me, kind of thing.
Yeah,
if that makes sense. Okay.
It's that's the foundation of the Kevster principle. Is like it's cover really, because it's what allows you to immediately, because it doesn't matter if there's 1,000 people on you if you have a wall in front of you, right? You need to get out of here.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Okay.
Yeah, it's where you ended, right? It's where you ended.
Right.
I understand why you dropped, but I don't know if it was worth it. You had space there. You could have kept that going for your team. So it's important to hold that position. And then even here, like this is not where you want to be, right? Let your Zen handle this. This is where you need to take top, play more passive, or you just burrow drill dash in the middle of them and play here or play in here or something, right? Like you open up your angle here.
Okay.
Because you're stacking with your Zen.
Right. Okay.
Even if you were to open the angle here, that would still be better. Or, like I said, here, that would be better. Kind of what you did, what I was asking you to do on first point Numbani Cap. Remember that? With the Nano Tracer? Either take top, play a more conservative angle, or get in that backline. Your choice. This is fine. Now you need to hold this space here. Okay, maybe... I don't know what you do, actually, here. I don't know. Maybe just be very quiet. Maybe disengage if they push you. Actually, yeah. This is good. This is good. Yeah, because you hear the Roadhog come. Yeah, you hear the Roadhog. And then you could use the verticality here so the Tracer can't really push you either. This is risky, but she wasn't looking, so I think that was fine. All right, let's go and start walking. I don't like this. I think you have to go into the room.
I was thinking, because my tracer went there, shouldn't I go somewhere else?
No, you just need an angle, right? Look at your backline,
Got it. Uh-huh.
right? So you don't have to be split from your other DPS or tank. You just can't be stacked with your entire team. When I was criticizing your angle earlier, it's because there's 4 of you in one spot.
Right.
If you
Okay.
go with this is architecture that is good for you. All roads lead back
Right.
to architecture with my mod reviews, right? This space is a lot better than this space for venture. This
Open it,
sucks.
yeah.
You can't do anything
Right.
here. But here, this is over. The tense is gone. Sure. Wish you were here 5 seconds ago, right?
Right.
You know? Sure. Yeah. I mean, look at, yeah, there you go. Sure. I don't know about this. I think you're gonna get hooked here. Yeah, just off. You know, frick. We lost this fight. Let's just disengage, reset, maybe retake some space. Maybe my tracer goes for pulse. Maybe she hits it. I don't know. Yeah. Okay, let's see this ult here. This is just we need to cap this panic ult.
Right. Yeah.
So which I'm not criticizing. I'm criticizing
Right.
the fact that you were in that spot, but you know, sure, like it was probably the right decision in the moment. Screw it. We'll finish this off. Why not? I like the setup here. This just gives you options. It is more of an open space, which is incredibly awkward. This is fine. You're not stacked directly with your team, and this is where actually knocking Roadhog is useful, because who's here to stop the Roadhog from taking a space?
Right.
Nobody, right? So if you could do it by yourself, go for it. I don't know if you can, but if you can, it's useful. That's a bit of a jump scare there.
Yep.
You might be okay. Yeah, you're okay. Like, just your presence has been kind of like a big speed bump for them, right? So, and then now this is a close range angle. You have HP. You have your drill dash. The team is fighting. Yeah. There it is. Merry Christmas. Big value, right? Good stuff. Next step here, and this is where you've sucked in the past, because you did good things. Now look at where they're at. Where should the next step be? You lost them completely. You had no idea where they were. So you didn't know where the next rotation should be in terms of where to go. So you're going to go to point, play patty cake with Roadhog, but this is where damage boosted soldier feels really bad. And then you should probably die there, right? Whereas given the power of hindsight, if you just looked here, where would you have gone next?
Next building.
Yep.
Just drill dash over.
Yeah.
Or like burrow over bridge. Okay.
Nice. I mean, you contributed some there, but a lot of it is just the space that you're playing.
Right.
Initial setup looks so good, looks pretty good, but there's a lot of different reasons, but you're ending up kind of in awkward spots that limit the amount of value that you're getting.
Gotcha.
Hey, do you have any questions? We talked about a lot of other things, obviously.
That was very clear.
Notice it's mostly just, you know, fundamentals, right? Usually not anything super crazy, but yeah. Okay. No questions?
I guess one thing
Sure.
I feel like I understand, but I think I'd prefer hearing you say it too, of like difference between setup and staging.
Same thing.
Okay, got it.
Yep, same thing.
Gotcha. All right.
Anything else?
So, no, I think that was really
All right, mate.
helpful.